Hello and welcome to Coaster Strike. My name is Tom, and this is episode 4 of Let's Build a Mini Park in Planet Coaster Console Edition. Starting off the episode by building a little gift shop. It's Loony Bloons, which is, I don't know what that's a knockoff of, but it's balloon shop. And as always, we'll be going for the classic modern glass and concrete building. Now, most of the time that we spend in this episode is going to be spent building the custom supports for the coaster. And, God, I hate building custom supports. I don't know if it's easier on a PC, but it can be really tricky to get it right. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, it looks awful, but then the amount of time it takes to get it perfect is just ridiculous. So that's where most of today's episode is. Which is still decent to watch, don't worry. Don't leave, please. We need the watch. But yeah, so it's just the supports in this game are incredibly hard to build. And it's because you have to be so precise when placing. And if you move your camera just one tiny bit, the supports no longer match up with the previous ones, and they bend, and they don't match, and it looks awful. And I've been trying to think if there's a better way to make custom supports in this game, and I feel like there's got to be, but I don't know what it is yet. So that's what I'm going to try and work out in today's episode. If you have any ideas, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below, because I love seeing you guys in the comments. There's loads of you who don't often send any messages, and it's just nice to see that the viewers are interacting with the video and enjoying it. But anyway, so yeah, the way that you build custom supports in this game is quite tricky, because the way that they look, specifically on the coaster that we've built today, I don't do it very often, because obviously I hate doing it, and the randomly generated ones are usually quite good. The only reason I'm doing it for this coaster is because the way that it goes through the Ferris wheel, it's kind of messed up the supports and the way they look. So I had to sort of change them. I mean, they still don't look great, so don't be expecting any support masterpiece. But yeah, I think it looks at least better than it was before. But yeah, so the way that you build them is, for this coaster, you have to have a little bit of concrete, like connecting the track to the beam, which for that I used one of the primitive, just small boxes, because there isn't actually a concrete piece. It's just, there on the randomly generated supports. I don't know why I say randomly generated. There probably is like an algorithm that it uses to work out where they should be. But I don't know. That's just what most games have, is randomly generated stuff. So you've got a little bit of concrete, and then you have the beam coming, where you have a little circle plate with screws in, which is, I guess, welded to the beam and connected to the concrete, which connects the two together. And then you have the beam, you build that down to the ground, and then that's got another one of the circle plates connecting it to a bit of concrete, which is wedged into the ground, which is how they work in real life. But it's just, it takes so long to do. And if you've got a big frame with multiple supports connected, it's just getting different angles and stuff and getting them to match up. It's really, really hard. I do not recommend making custom supports. So you can see now I've started trying to get it right, and I couldn't first work out what to do or how to do it. So I have to get reference from one of the supports on one of the generated supports. So you can see there what I mean, how it's done. But there's no concrete piece for the top that's that size, so I had to create my own with the primitive ones. But because you do need custom supports sometimes, I've tried to rack my brain for a better way of making custom supports. I'm sorry I've gone on about custom supports so much now. I've spent 4.5 minutes talking about them, and you've probably left the video already. If you're watching by this point, well done. No one wants to hear me talk about custom supports. So let's talk about something else. Upcoming videos. I mean, when this released, when this is released, hopefully I should have got out the Vekoma-based video, which is on why I am not a massive fan of Vekoma, because they're this manufacturer who are famous for their boomerang and SLC coasters, which are hella rough. They are incredibly bumpy, not the best layouts in the world, and they're just not great. But in 2018 they were bought by S&S Sansei, who are a much better manufacturing company. They also inherited all of Arrow's coasters, which is one of the ones that we're building today, is an aerodynamics coaster. But yeah, so in 2018, S&S Sansei bought Vekoma, and since then their coaster quality has gone up a lot. I don't think they've actually made a single SLC or a boomerang coaster in that time. But it's just about how they might be able to redeem themselves, because for me it's not just about the quality of the rides, but what their rides have done to people. If you've seen the video, you'll know what I mean. But if you haven't, I'll link it in a card in the top right corner. But yeah, it's just one where I express my thoughts, because I'm really not a massive fan of Vekoma, and I feel like even though they don't get any praise, they get too much praise. I hope that they can redeem themselves, because that would be a really good thing for the coaster industry to have another manufacturer up there, because at the moment there aren't that many like amazing manufacturers, because you've got like the top few, which are like Intamin, B&M, RMC, GCI, and maybe Gerstlauer, and I think that's about it. Maybe S&S. But other than that, you haven't. The other manufacturers, they're like okay, and they do their own thing, but they're also just like second versions of coasters that the other companies do better. And maybe Mack Rides for their family coasters. But yeah, I think it'd be nice to have Vekoma up there, because I mean they've got a good history, and they're the most prolific manufacturer in the world, with over 400 coasters or something, which is ridiculous. I don't think it's that much, actually. That might be a bit much, but they're definitely the most prolific, according to RCDB, which, if you don't know, is an online website which is like a database of every single coaster in the entire world. It's a good way to work out what counts as a credit or not, which I should now explain. A credit is like, coaster enthusiasts have this thing, which is the more coasters that you've ridden, you're trying to get as big a list of coasters that you've ridden as you can, which at the moment mine is really small. I guess I'm pretty young to have like a big coaster list, but haven't got a job or anything to spend on theme park tickets. But yeah, I've got maybe 10, 15 coasters, somewhere in that area, whereas some people have got hundreds, like actually hundreds. Like even some YouTubers like Coaster Studios, because obviously what he does is he goes to theme parks. But yeah. So at the moment, what I'm doing is I hired some staff, and I'm now raising all of their pay to the maximum, which takes ages in real life. Frontier, please make a way to just that in Sandbox every worker gets paid maximum so that they don't quit, or just have it as a way, just to have a feature that allows you to go straight from wherever they are to maximum pay. It's just so much easier. But yeah, now I'm renaming all the rides. This is the COVID Looper, because I'm fed up of COVID, and do you know what? I don't think it would exist if it weren't for COVID. I can't even remember. I think it's the Swinging Roller, and this one is Strata, which is a coaster which is over 400 feet tall, is a strata coaster, and I don't know, it's quite a tall Ferris wheel. There wasn't much reasoning behind it. And now I just expanded the forest a little bit, because that's like sort of the border of the park, and it means that anywhere in the park you can't see the massive flat expanse of land that the game gives you, which, as I said before, is a nice feature, but it's just not always what you want if you're building a mini park. Other than that, though, I think that's about it for this episode. which is good because I'm running out of things to talk about. Yeah, just add a few more trees, and then we should be done. And you can get a nice tour of the park so far. I mean, yeah. So here you go. Here are my awful supports and the new Ferris wheel. I don't know. We haven't. Yeah, there's not masses to look at that we've done so far. Why can't I build supports? It's just what? It's hard. It's really hard. But yeah, there's the nice Loony Bloons store shop thing that we built. We've got I do like the architecture of this building. I also love the little plants on the roof. That's a feature that I really like. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.